year, sort of come out of nowhere, really. I went to go and speak to him and his family yesterday. So he's got the proper leathers on this time around. They've managed to sort out some sizing issues, I think, with the kit supply leathers for the riders here this weekend.
Yeah, so Aidan, as we saw yesterday on the podium, he was the man putting in that Sergio Garcia final corner move. Still taller than our race winner yesterday, Jesse
Taller
James
than me
Shedden,
as well.
despite being a step lower on the podium. So yes, definitely good to see him all branded and suited and booted, ready for this one.
He'll feel a little bit more pro today, won't he, I guess, sponsored.
I kind of liked it, though. Just like rock up and immediately second. But yeah, it was good stuff from him yesterday. Alexander Enriquez then, he'll be waiting a little bit more from today after qualifying a little bit further up than he ended up finishing. And it was actually the guy alongside him, Fernandez. That's Jayden Fernandez. We have many a Fernandez now racing, don't we? Who managed to get in that podium fight, but then did just lose out at the end. So some interesting things to look out for today after we have seen that first full race distance.
Yeah, absolutely right. This is Jayden Fernandez then. Saw yesterday on the cool-down lap, he was a little bit frustrated with actually what I found out from his dad is Aidan Sneed is actually a very good friend of his. They're very close, but he was very frustrated with him. Turns out due to the sort of the elbow action going into turn one and pushing him a little bit on the inside. But as his dad did tell him, Robin's racing, son, which I loved.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, for me anyway, what we saw on the feed that we got, there was nothing too far over a line. I'm sure it would have, you know, maybe been a little bit different opinion from Valentino Rossi than Jorge Lorenzo when looking at some of them. But for me anyway, it was all pretty clean, if a little aggressive at times. But, you know, it was all good stuff.
Well, good to see Chris Clark on the grid here today. His crash was actually caused by an engine issue yesterday, and they were a little bit worried if he would actually be able to have the engine fixed in time for this race. So that's good to see him actually on the grid. He was okay after his crash at turn 11. Not sure whether you spotted it, Fran, as well, but we saw Cameron Beaubier on the grid there, just wishing the good luck to the stars of the future.
I don't think I did. I wish I had.
Big day for him today.
It is indeed. I was going to say no spoiler, but it is the day after. Yes, starting from pole position for Moto2 on home turf, and he took a top 5 last year as well. Cameron Beaubier fighting for that first podium, and a few months on with a little bit more experience will be exciting to see that. But good to see him giving some support to these guys as well. Yeah,
absolutely agree then. So riders on the grid getting ready to go on their warm-up lap. I think it's a minute and a half before we take off. Maybe they'll go a little bit sooner. There is the number 99 of Jesse James Shedden. So yesterday took the victory by 28.787 seconds. My goodness me, that is absolutely blistering pace. I think generally speaking his lap times were about 1 second quicker than everybody else's every single lap. He was absolutely on it.
Yeah, he really was, and he got a pretty good start as well and just couldn't be stopped from then on. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one today, at least to see if those behind can cut that gap a little bit. I think unless Jesse James Shedden makes a mistake, it's going to be a big ask to gain sort of 30 seconds overnight, and it really is overnight, as we were the last race yesterday and then first out today. So yeah, we'll have to see what they've got in the locker, but I think it's once again in Jesse James Shedden's hands to see if he can wrap this up.
Well, I think we're going to have a look at the starting grid again for you, just in case you weren't sure what you saw a little bit earlier on, about 5 minutes ago. So let's run through it again. Fran, do you want to take this one?
I will. So it's Shedden, Sneed and DeMario on the front row. Then we've got Enriquez, Fernandez and Clark on row 2, ahead of Salim, Black and Meng on row 3. And then Arciniega, Mexican competitor in 10th. Vaccarino, that's Brittany, female competitor. De Gama Blanchet, repping for Canada in 12th. Then we've got Cunnison, Monk and Roth Jr. And then bringing up the rear is Beaudry Chapin. You've been saying my instinct is Chapin. Oh. But I think I'm getting a little too French on that. Singh and then Sanchez on the back row of the grid. So it's a packed field here. A good number of riders fighting it out in this inaugural round of the North America Talent Cup. And here is first touch for Sunday then, the warm-up lap. See how it is out there. Conditions not too different to yesterday, a little bit cooler obviously as we're earlier in the day. Yep,
the sun's barely risen above the horizon at this sort of time of the morning. At this moment in time. I've got to give a little shout out actually to Adrian Sanchez, not Adrian Fernandez. He's coming up later on in Moto 3. Adrian Sanchez, starting from the back row of the grid, made it all the way up to P11 yesterday. The reason why he started from the back of the grid was a mechanical in qualifying. Everyone was saying he's actually a lot faster than he was able to show in qualifying due to that fact. So good to see him fighting his way through up to P11. 5 points taken away from yesterday's race.
Yeah, that's a good job, isn't it? Done, especially when it's your first race of the season. Just starting from the back and being able to keep your head, I think, is a positive step anyway, even if you don't end up, you know, fighting for top 5 or top 8 like you would have wanted to. So yeah, good stuff from him, and got another crack at it today. Obviously unlucky that you have to take that pain twice in a 2-race round, but we'll see what he's got today. And yeah, there's a few interesting rides making some progress yesterday, including the likes of Vaccarino, who managed to just get off the back of that podium fight, and I think it was Chase Black, wasn't it? It was Chase Black and Brittany Vaccarino who made that progress, so we'll see if they can get a little bit further forward a little bit earlier today.
Yeah, how much can they learn overnight is sort of the big question. I did say in the race yesterday, the organisers were telling me that Brittany is one of the only riders who goes straight to them, asking for any sort of data analytics they can give her, from her bike setup, what she needs to do, exploration with gear ratios, etc. And as I went over to go and see some of the riders yesterday, guess who was over chatting to the organisers going through the data? Brittany Vaccarino. So yeah, she's a real hard worker. That's not to say anybody else isn't, but that was just
how the
Vaccarino
fan club has rolled over into Sunday.
It was. I also, speaking of which, I'm not the only member actually, because renowned American racer Melissa Paris was over there checking in on her. Josh Hayes' other half as well, very successful Moto America Superbike champion.
Now it's great to see. Of course, this is the whole point of the Road to MotoGP. It's meant to open doors economically and in terms of getting more women into the sport, more people from different backgrounds, different countries. So it's really great. You know, just kind of trying to make sure there's as few barriers as possible, and those who want to race can race, and then let their racing do the talking.
Oh yeah, like that. Here we go. And what better image to have than the rider that finished 28 seconds ahead of the field yesterday, Jesse James Shedden, lining up on P1 on the grid. There is Aidan Sneed, the number 95, alongside him, the substantially taller character, and alongside him we'll have Alessandro Di Mario lining up as well, the number 7. So this is the moment that adrenaline starts to spike once again. Heart rates raise, and that's just not least from the guy with the red flag at the front of the grid and the commentators in the box. Families watching on as well. The lights will come on and we'll burst into life once again here in the North American Talent Cup. Race day is just about underway. Here we go then, and it's a clean start from pretty much everybody. No sort of jump starts, but it looks like Di Mario has got a very clean jump, but Jesse James Shedden hooks up a couple of gears and he's got the run up towards turn 1. Who will be the last of the late breakers? Di Mario's got the inside line, but Shedden sweeps around the outside but nearly loses it mid-corner. What a save straight from the off from Shedden. That will give him a bit of a scare, but all cleanly through turns 1.
Yeah, all just about cleanly through then. I'm sure there's been another spike of adrenaline for Jesse James Shedden off pole there. Almost what we saw yesterday, but a little bit of a more extreme version today, with the number 99 not quite getting away as well initially as Di Mario, but ultimately getting the jump on the number 7 round turn 1, and Sho's just giving himself a few corners to just calm down a little bit, but job done, whole shot achieved, and let's see if he can do what he did yesterday and just start making that gap.
Wowee, that was such a huge moment to get us going straight from the off then. Really impressive stuff. The number 29 of Salem has caught up to the top 3 just off the back of them. Salem, where did Salem finish yesterday? He was one of the riders that crashed out, unfortunately, wasn't he? So, but fortunately all okay. So good to see a great start from him getting going this morning. Fernandez up into 5th, the number 13, but has got the number 10 just behind him as well. So it's all Slipstream City down the back straight for the first time.
It will be, yes. So it's going to be interesting then. I imagine the likes of Di Mario and Sneed are going to just have one target in the first couple of laps. Laguna Seca 2008 style, just get past Jesse James Shedden, try to interrupt his rhythm, get in his way, and just make life a little bit harder than the track day experience he had yesterday. So far, though, not quite able to make that move. And Di Mario obviously just not quite as confident on the brakes as the number 99 ahead of him. So it might have to be a bit of a dive bomb if they have to get past and then try and interrupt the rhythm of the race leader.
Having said this, Fran, he is not as far ahead as he was at this point in the race yesterday. So DeMario's certainly done his homework overnight, as has Aiden Sneed. Then you got Jayden Fernandez, who in that first sort of couple of laps seemed a little bit bogged down by the other riders. Speaking to his dad yesterday, he said actually he's not quite so used to, well, racing in such a competitive class with riders sort of swapping positions throughout the laps. It's a bit more one guy shoots off at the beginning or he shoots off at the beginning. He's not quite used to that yet, so this is all part of that learning experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's learning the bike, learning the track and the tracks that are to come throughout the season, but also learning how to understand your race data, how to speak to your engineers, and how to race maybe with your elbows a little bit further out on a big track with how many other riders there are, like 18 other riders. It can be a big difference depending on your background and experience. Are we going to see a move there? No. Once again, DeMario going for that inside line up to turn 1, but just not quite able to, not make it stick, but not quite able to make it really give him too much advantage over the Shedden version.
Yeah, that's clearly how he feels most comfortable, cutting a more inside line, a bit more of a stop and start, stop and go approach to those tight hairpins, whereas Jesse Shedden really sort of curves it off and sweeps around it, which nearly actually was his downfall in that first corner there. Second time around, all good.
Yeah, exactly. So no such dramas since that very first Apex then. But yeah, he's still not getting away too much, so that's encouraging for those on the chase for sure, because it really was a demolition job on Saturday, wasn't it, for the number 99?
And you know what? DeMario's right on his tail
really
now.
Is,
he is learning so much every single lap, and this is so impressive. He once again chooses that inside line into turn 11, but he's not going for an overtaking move. Will he get the slipstream down the back straight now? Because he is a little bit bigger. A fair bit bigger than Shedden, but still he's not actually as big as Sneed, who himself is in the slipstream of these guys now. This could be pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it really could be. I think as well it's only going to be a good experience for DeMario to basically just sit there and watch. When they got beaten by sort of, nearly 30 seconds yesterday, just watching what is Shedden doing and where is he doing it and why is he doing it, and seeing if they can incorporate that and make themselves faster in the process as well. So it's a pretty good seat there to in terms of trying to take the victory and another podium, and in terms of watching the guy who yesterday had everyone's number.
In the background of your shot there, you can also see a fight is unfolding between Fernandez and Enriquez. We can see them there. There is the number 25 of Alexander Enriquez. Started P4 on the grid, up to P4 at the moment after finishing 7th yesterday. So he'll be very, very chuffed with that. A little bit further down the order, just behind them in 6th place, Brittany Vaccarino, after a cracking ride yesterday, already up from 11th on the grid through to 6th position now. So you can really see the improvements these riders have made overnight. A good night's sleep, well, maybe some Weetabix this morning, it's all sorted them out.
Famed American breakfast cereal, Weetabix. Yeah, I absolutely love it. You can really see, like you say, a difference here. There, it looks like Shedden's just made a bit of ground. Yeah, a couple attempts there. But yeah, the likes of Enriquez and Vaccarino as well, like you said, did almost get onto the back of that podium fight yesterday, but it took a good few more laps for the number 34 to really make that progress. So today, pretty quickly up into the top 6. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one as the race goes on, and especially a bit of a challenge for those guys who didn't make race distance yesterday.
Yeah, totally right, Fran. So great stuff from Shedden then. 238.9. Well, his best race lap yesterday, I think, was a 237.1. But look at that. He's still just, well, that was only a 1/10 of a second quicker than DeMario that time around.
And it looks like a second, but it's not.
Sneed lost a whole second, unfortunately, to these guys pretty much just off the back there. He's actually being caught now by Enriquez. He's got a real battle on his hands. So good on Enriquez as well for the improvements made overnight too. Yeah,
for sure. It's good stuff from the number 25 there. But yeah, so Shedden then, not quite as quick as he was yesterday, and DeMario has lost a little bit of ground, but he's still in there. And any sort of tiny problem that the number 99 has, the number 7 will be on him. And we have a change then. Enriquez up into a podium position for the first time this weekend. Oh,
that was a very, very neat overtake, wasn't it now?
Yeah,
but look
nicely
at, but I think Sneed's got a bit of a trouble trying to keep his his elbows really tucked in anyways due to his sheer size, but he's definitely elbows out metaphorically and literally in this particular race. He's pulled out of the slipstream from Enriquez there, but will it be enough to actually make an overtaking towards turn 12? He does brake slightly later. He's going for it. He's making a move up the inside, and Enriquez has a big twitch there and even lets Fernandez through there pretty much almost. They are neck and neck now heading in towards, I think, turn 13. Yes, he's just about kept it up right there.
Yeah, I thought Sneed had pulled out of the slipstream a little bit early there, but no, the number 95 made it work. Didn't look like they were too close together from our shot, so maybe just surprised Enriquez or just unsettled him, but still very much in the mix here, and the number 95 hasn't got too much daylight between him and them, so should still be a good battle if those guys can regroup a little bit and tag back on the back.
Well, cracking stuff then, and we've still got DeMario and Shedden near enough tied together. It's 1 second or so the gap now, but this battle for third has now turned into battle for second as well, I think has, or is that... no, sorry, for third. My goodness me, it's too early in the morning. I've only just had my coffee, Fran. I need our producer to come bring us some cookies like he did in Moto 2 yesterday. Anyways, across the line we come, and Shedden a 2:37.5, so 4/10 off his fastest race lap yesterday. These guys 3 abreast, over the line they come, and it is Enriquez who leads them towards turn 1 once again, ahead of Fernandez, and then Sneed just behind. Who's going to get the jump from turn 1? They both sweep around the outside of Fernandez. That was pretty tough on Jayden there, but sensational racing already.
Yeah, that was a little bit tough. It must have hurt a little bit for the number 13 there, but Aiden Sneed, we saw him super strong around there yesterday, and the number 95 already looking for a way through. That was another little spike of adrenaline for me. But no, the number 95 then, you could see, really did lose out over the line and down the front straight that time around, but made it all up again into turn 1, so we'll have to see what the number 95 can do around these twistier sections of track, which is where he does seem to have a little bit more than the guys that he's racing at the moment.
These three all dicing together for that third spot. They're just learning so much about racecraft, how to outfox the other. The aspects of, particularly in that first and second sectors of, it's even still kind of one line through there for these smaller capacity machines. There is a bit more margin for error than the bigger capacity Grand Prix bikes and Moto America Superbikes, for example. But still, for them, they're learning where they can and can't gain on their competitors. But here we have Enriquez, the number 25, ahead of 95, Sneed, and 13 at Fernandez, who pulls out the slipstream. The smaller frame of Fernandez really benefiting him down this straight here, this monstrously long, well, straight I say, but it's got a bit of a kink in the middle, hasn't it?
You could go local flavour and call it the straightaway.
Straightaway, yeah. Well, I was instructed by Sneed's family to use Howdy Y'all to start the broadcast here today, but I'm sorry I forgot.
Very local.
Well, I said I didn't want to offend anybody, so I didn't want to do any sort of cultural appropriation of other languages. I think everyone can tell
we're doing it with pure love.
Yeah.
It's definitely an experience listening to some of the American riders debrief their race, and it's like, what now?
Yeah.
But in the best way. So yeah, that straightaway is apparently pretty long on one of these. Took the top 3 to the MotoGP Premier Lounge yesterday, as I mentioned on the broadcast yesterday as well. And yeah, they said bikes absolutely great round corners, but that long back straight feels quite long when you're just tucked in and waiting full pin. So yeah, it's good stuff though, and the slipstream is definitely working in the favour of those smaller riders at the moment.
Yeah, totally agree. As we see Shedden out front once again then. So a 1 second lost from DeMario last time around. He's pulled the pin a little bit, as we like to say. Here is DeMario coming out of that final turn. His main objective now, well, he's still got plenty of time to try and chase down Shedden if he could pull something, well, the rabbit out of the magician's hat, so to speak. But at least then the number 1 goal will be to not let himself fall into the clutches of Enriquez behind, or Fernandez, or Sneed.
Yep, and I think that also may depend on how much these guys fight each other, because they will only lose themselves some time if they continue to scrap it out as they have done for a couple of laps. You can see Sneed again round there, making it work. So the number 95 back into, it is 4th now, isn't it? Yeah, I'm losing count with those two far ahead of the road. But yeah, good stuff from the number 95 then, still in this battle. But Enriquez at the moment, really impressive to be up in this podium fight.
Yeah, hugely so. Worth just checking down the timing screens as well. well to see how everybody else is getting on just behind the top 5 that we've been focusing on with the cameras. We've got Chris Clark, the number 27, still up there into 6th place. Great stuff from him. Cunnison, oh no! I feel like I've jinxed him. He's gone down, unfortunately. Chris Clark, the number 27, is out of the race. Unfortunately, that is such a shame. Oh, and Brittany Vaccarino's gone down as well, the 34, so maybe they've gone down together. Oh, what a shame, because I was just going to commend them both. They were having a great run out with Logan Cunnison there up from P13 on the grid, and now Chris Clark being seen to as Brittany walks away now.
Yeah, it must have been some sort of incident then in that group that was fighting it out for 6th place. So hopefully we'll get an update soon. And yeah, it is 27 and 34 then, it says on our timing screen. So it's definitely those 2 only in that incident. So hopefully we'll get an update soon on how Chris Clark is.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming together at turn 1 for those 2. That leaves Cunnison up into 6th spot, then moves everybody up a bit further. Sneed has moved up since into P4 as well, as there is Brittany walking away. But then still 6 laps to go at this point in time, and Shedden has pulled the pin well and truly 5 seconds ahead of DeMario. Then we'll focus back onto Shedden. There he is then, looking so supreme here at the Circuit of the Americas. Really, really strong indeed. He's been strong throughout free practice, top of the pile in both of them. Same with qualifying, an all-time lap record. Well, obviously brand new first weekend.
I was like
2:36.5 from him there. He's not met that sort of pace here at the moment, as we see Chris Clark being stretchered off, thankfully, but attended to by the medical crew and marshals. Here's what happened between these 2 then, going up in towards turn 1. Oh, and we see, oh, dearie me, Brittany just, oh, goodness me. She just lost the rear going in there, and unfortunately had nowhere to go but T-boning Chris Clark there. So, dearie me.
Super bad luck there for the number 27 then. Hopefully we'll get an update soon about how he is. But yeah, I mean, turn 1, bit of a classic there. You could see from her line, thought it was going to be something, maybe the number 34 just not quite nailing that. And unfortunately, yes. So, well, back at the front, we still have the familiar number 99 now, still in the race lead. It's 6.1 seconds now, so I think it is definitely a game over with 5 laps to go, unless he makes his own mistake. But yeah, we'll have to see how it pans out in that podium fight. We've not seen that group for a couple of minutes now. Let's see where they are once there we go, you can see him in back of shot. So
well,
it looks like
Enriquez
then
is closing in on DeMario, which is bad news for DeMario, great news for Enriquez. So someone's certainly done plenty of homework overnight, really impressive stuff. So down the back straight, he's certainly in slipstream areas now to catch up with DeMario and potentially pass him. A smaller frame is Enriquez on DeMario as well. So let's see if he can pull out of the slipstream, break it into turn 12, or maybe just mirror signal maneuver, just like a driving test, which he probably still can't do for a couple of years yet. Down he goes in towards turn 12. Who will it be? I think it is Enriquez outbraking DeMario, but will he get him around the outside? We've seen that previously. Yes, he does. So he defends his line perfectly round the outside then, does DeMario.
Yep, good stuff from the number 7 then, but now he'll be very aware that he's under attack and that he's got to now battle it out to keep that second position after a good few laps kind of in some clear air there, just sat by himself watching Shedden get a little bit further away, and now I'll be very aware that Enriquez has arrived on the scene. I don't know if this is going to work quite around the outside. Nope, the number 25 not quite far enough ahead there, but a good battle between these 2 already then, and we've still got 4 more whole laps after this one.
Yeah, we saw how much, even still, if when with DeMario getting past potentially, we saw how much he was able to cling on to Shedden and learn from the other rider as well. So I don't suppose the same sort of thing will be happening here with Enriquez, though he has made a pass there, because we just saw that mistake once again from DeMario that we saw yesterday in towards turn 19.
Yep, exactly. So it'll be another slipstream battle then down the main straight, and you can see on the graphic there then Chris Clark taken to the medical centre for a checkup and rider conscious, which is always what you put to say, you know, don't panic, and we'll see how the rider is once they've had a full checkup and see if they've got anything from that crash. So that's good news that Chris Clark is on his way there.
Yeah.
And then this battle then, Enriquez got a couple of metres of daylight.
Yeah, has so. Well, let's see how DeMario can respond in this fast and flowing section here. A slight difference in line choices from them both, but who will pick the faster one through here then? I'm really impressed with Enriquez's improvements in this race. Simply overnight, it must have been a little bit disappointing for him to qualify 4th on the grid and then just fall back towards that 7th spot yesterday. I know also I tried to be incredibly fair and make sure that everybody doesn't take things to heart in their very first race in this all-new championship, because the demands on them can be a little bit overwhelming, and that's okay at this stage. That's the whole point of this Road to MotoGP program.
Exactly, it is. Like, it's all, you know, it's very impressive for what we've seen from Jesse James Shedden, who is on this replay and perfectly timed. It's very impressive to do what he's done and turn up and show that he's got an advantage at this early point in the season. But the main point of all of these Road to MotoGP programs as well is learning and making progress. So if you start the season 28 seconds behind, and even in the second race of the day you're 8 seconds behind, that's really good progress, you know. So it's good to see so many of them having learnt so much from yesterday's full race distance, and now we're seeing it bear fruit, especially for the likes of Enriquez. Really good ride from the number 25.
Yeah, sensational stuff. So let's look down at the field as well. Take a moment to do that with 4 laps to go. Who else having a great ride? Well, Sneed and Fernandez both battling together still. They're 4 seconds adrift. We can see them now, just 4 seconds adrift of DeMario and Enriquez. So they're having their own little one. The two buddies who yesterday had a little disagreement, understandably so, about what happens on racing. You are competitors at the end of the day, but good to see a nice clean battle from these two. Just
like
behind
it's
them,
be another one in a minute.
Could be. Behind them, you've got Logan Cunnison. The two Logans battling it out for 6th and 7th. And fair play to Logan Monk, who is certainly the tallest rider on the grid there. Okay, Cunnison's 12 seconds adrift of these two here, but 0.2 seconds behind him, you've got Monk and Arciniega just behind as well, along with Black and Salem. So a cracking little battle there for 6th spot between 4 different riders. 5, I should say. Just outside the top 10 at the moment, we got Hayden Meng as well, which is an improvement on yesterday. He came home with one of the last points as one of the last points finishers in 13th. So even more improvements for him as well, the youngest rider on the grid.
Yep, exactly. So progress is the name of the game. This is getting quite tight there already. I thought there Fernandez was going to go for it, but no.
There we go.
Not
this
quite
is that
yet.
group
And here we go.
Fran.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is pretty close then, with these guys fighting it out for that 6th position, all the way down to complete the top 10. A real variety of lines there. Not sure which one's going to work the best, but yeah, pretty close racing then in this group.
Yeah, that was the number 14 of Chase Black, just looking back at Salem, just to sort of, I guess, apologise for perhaps another move. But this is a cracking little battle then. This is something we're more used to seeing in the Age of Talent Cup, isn't it, Fran?
It is super close little freight train.
Yeah, we're so used to that over the last few weeks of racing as well. Look at the differences in line choices. So it is a case of carrying the momentum here. It is still pretty much one line. If you mess up one corner, you can mess up the next 2 or 3 even, as Cunnison has found out. He's been completely swamped, unfortunately. All momentum gone, sadly, for him. As we see, that was the 29 of Salem looks a lot like the 25 of Enriquez, and I thought, what's going on?
You get a little bit confused there. No, yeah, you can really see the difference there with the momentum, you know. On a smaller bike, if you lose that, you're going to be taking some pain for, maybe a few apexes, as we saw in this group just then. But it's a great little fight, isn't it, here? And they'll be learning so much from being so close together on track as well. But are these guys then still close together on track? I was, again, a little bit confused there. But 25 and number 7 then, we're still dueling it out for 2nd, but it looks like Enriquez does have a little bit of daylight there, and if the number 25 can keep it clean, I think DeMario will have to dig deep and try and really get back on terms with him.
Yep, quite right. So still 3 laps to go. About how many minutes? 7, 8 minutes to go. 7.5 minutes of racing left, near enough, there or thereabouts, for him to do something about it. Remember yesterday, some of the riders were catching 1.7 seconds in just a couple of sectors at some moments. Yeah,
as it changes so much throughout the race, it can be interesting, can't it? We see it often with the smaller machines. You can make a much bigger difference, but we've also, have that race experience from yesterday, and with this being the first weekend, it genuinely does make such a huge difference to have more and more track time as well. So So yeah, it's great to see the likes of Enriquez really using that and able to make a big step forward on Sunday. And they are a lot closer to Jesse James Shedden as well today, despite that new best race lap.
Yeah, that is taken by a single hundredth of a second. Yesterday's was 0.160. It was interesting to see the graphic as they came over the line. So Enriquez only lost 4 thousandths of a second in that previous time split. His last lap around was a 2:38.4. So was De Mario's as well, which is only 1.3 seconds, I should say, slower than Shedden at that time around. So the gap is certainly closer than it was yesterday.
It is, and we saw on that graphic as well a couple of laps ago, I think Enriquez did the best lap. So I don't know if Shedden made a little bit of an error that we didn't see on camera, but yeah, they've certainly managed to close that gap a little bit, but I think not enough for Jesse James Shedden to not be leaving this round thinking, well, I should be expecting to wear this crown.
Yeah, this is
it's a long season.
Quite, yeah, absolutely it is. It's a super long season. And worth noting some of the other races that we do have coming up in the North American Talent Cup. Unfortunately, none of them will be televised for the coming future at the moment, but that's why it's all part of the parcel being here as part of the Grand Prix as well. You get the professional camera, some high-speed slow-mo shots as well. Jesse James Shedden going to be looking at that thinking, oh yeah, I look cool. Maybe.
And fair enough, because he does look cool.
Yeah, maybe he's not as much of a dork as I am. So
I was going to say, projection.
Worth noting as we see these two battle out still with Fernandez and Sneed. The next round for the North American Talent Cup will be at High Plains Raceway in May. Then they got a round in June, July, August, and then 2 in September. The finale at Barber Motorsports Park, at the Moto America finale as well in September.
Yeah, it's a pretty good calendar. There's a good few states and stop-offs on there, so it should be good. And it's perfect timing as well, isn't it? March to September. It's your old school race calendar. So yeah, good stuff that these guys will get to race pretty regularly as well, which can be pretty key when you're trying to make those make it count and really learn, progress, and make that step forward for the next round out. Especially
considering like the racecraft aspect, Jayden Fernandez and Aiden Sneed battling out with each other. If they're not getting that experience of dicing, overtaking, making moves, making intelligent decisions on track with other races where they're just clearly the fastest rider, or there's a rider who's a bit quicker, this regularity of racing and honing those skills, super important.
It is indeed. And so we've got our last lap then to hone these skills today, and it looks like this is probably going to be where we find the fireworks for 4th place. At the moment it's still a little bit of a gap between 2nd and 3rd, so let's see. I thought that might happen.
Sneed gets braver and braver every lap through there, didn't he?
That was nicely done though from the number 95, and not round the outside this time, so good stuff. I think these guys will be battling it out all the way to the line, and you can see a few switches of position the last time over the line for that group just behind us as well. The graphics just suddenly doing that shuffle, so that must be a good little battle as well. But yeah, so we're staying with this fight for 4th then, and at the moment it's still Sneed ahead of Fernandez just behind him, but the number 13 really not letting him get away at all. No, not one little bit behind them. Well, in front of them, sorry, I was going to say. Enriquez and De Mario still battling, but half a second splitting them now, so that one could well be gone, or will it, as we see them on track now. Here is the run down the back straight for the final time for the number 25 and the 7. Will the 7 catch the 25 through the slipstream, breaking it down into turn 12? This is one of those key overtaking opportunities now. If you want the 2nd place, De Mario, Alessandro, you got to make the move. Yep, got to go for it. Brave on the brakes. He has pulled out the slipstream,
there we go.
Going for it. So let's see if he can keep it, or is Enriquez going to go straight back through? Not quite. No room for the number 25 to respond at the moment then. Nice work from De Mario, and he takes over in 2nd.
He absolutely parked it in front of him, didn't he? Just it's directly in front of the line that he wanted to take, so that was a great move. Will it last all the way to the line? But I do think we'll be seeing Jesse Shedden coming across the line very shortly, won't we, to take that 2nd win. So a clean sweep for him. Free practice 1 and 2, P1, qualifying P1, fastest lap of the race, race win, race 1, going to be race win, race 2 as well. But let's see what these two happens between these last riders here. So final corner for Shedden, corner number 20, the last one, ease it through across the line. give it a wheelie. Go on, give it some sort of celebration. That's what we like to see. So Shedden,
again, so chill.
just
I love
cruising.
It.
He's loving it. He's a box ticker. I absolutely love that. Sensational
Let's
stuff
see
in the run
then.
to the line.
Oh.
Who is it? It's Enriquez who gets second. DeMario in third again. Great racing from those two. DeMario frustrated, but Enriquez, what a ride.
Yeah, that was really good stuff then from the number 25 to move up through the order. Let's see who we've got in this battle then. It's going to be Aiden Sneed, I think, or is Fernandez going to have enough time to slipstream
No,
him? He
not
may
enough.
Indeed. Let's see.
No,
not
they're already
quite.
across the line.
Oh, they
so...
are, sorry. Yeah, no, not quite, but it was very close once again.
Yeah.
It looks like Sneed still got it pinned there, heading down to turn
And what
one.
about this battle as well? So it's Cunnison who's going to cross the line, taking that sixth spot then. Brilliant stuff ahead of Salem, Arciniega, Monk and Black there across the line. Good racing from all there to finish up through the top 10. Then I think 11th we've got Hayden Meng coming across the line as well. Brilliant stuff from him. Sanchez, Roth Jr., Degama Blanche and Chapin, the last of those current finishers. Wow, what a great race.
That was a good race. I was a little bit worried about that big group because you saw another shuffle on the graphics just before they came round those last two corners. But yeah, great race in between those two guys. Another great duel for Aiden Sneed today. But yeah, Enriquez got to be one of the standout rides of the day there, taking second and in some style over the line there.
Yeah, that was really impressive. I like that a lot. Alexander Enriquez, a great ride from fourth on the grid. He gives a little signal to Jason Fernandez. They tell each other where they finished. He congratulates him. I appreciated Jesse Shedden's little mini stoppy there, a bit of showboating down into turn 11.
Yeah, we've got to love it. So DeMario then, it's DeMario and Shedden who are the only two riders to take 2 podiums from the opening weekend, but definitely Shedden has stamped some authority early on this season. Really impressive stuff, but they did really make a lot of progress overnight. It was 9.7 seconds, the number 99's winning margin on Sunday, which is pretty different to yesterday, so good stuff from the rest to cut that gap.
And actually worth noting as well, the whole top 5 finished closer to Shedden this time around than they did yesterday as well. So that's really good news as far as the improvements goes. 43 seconds adrift was that group with Cunnison, Salem, Arciniega, Monk, Black and then Meng just even actually catching up towards those guys, towards the top 10 towards the end of the race. He was only 7 seconds adrift of them by the end. It was a lot further than that previously in the race.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, some good stuff for the first round for the North America Talent Cup. Plenty of progress made, and with not so much track time, and with some of these guys not having the most experience on tarmac, some really good performances this weekend. And
yeah,
great stuff to see these Aprilias out on track, and the dream is a reality, as we say.
Yeah, absolutely right. What a great start to the North American Talent Cup. Of course, if you're not overly familiar with all these Talent Cup programs, there is also the British Talent Cup, the European Talent Cup, the Asia Talent Cup, and the Northern Talent Cup over in Europe and Asia and Oceania, etc.
I thought you were saying the Northern Talent Cup was in
Shedden not quite used
Oceania.
to this layout yet, as he's nearly goes past Parc Ferme.
Love that. I mean, that's the apex you want to miss if you're going to miss one, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one on the way to taking your trophy. Harm done.
The only mistake he's made all weekend long. What is this then?
Here is, I think, the battle for fourth, is it? No, second. So Enriquez, that was nicely done, wasn't it? That just ahead by the line. And oh, DeMario though, keeping it in track limits. I was a little bit worried as they're coming around that.
The little fish shake as he comes across the line. He knows he's got second.
But yeah, those track limits on the final corner, if you're really going to duel it out, can be, they make me a little bit nervous. It's easy to sweep out wide there.
But clearly a bit easier on these smaller capacity machines than the Grand Prix bikes, of course. Well then, now the debriefs begin. So there is your winner then, Jesse Shedden. He'll be chuffed with that one. Really great weekend for him. Ever so slightly slower over as a top speed over the course of this race and previous. Fist bumps all around for his competitors. There he says about tucking the front in his first corner. Yeah, we saw that clear as day, Jesse, don't worry. But you made it. And there is Alexander Enriquez from 4th on the grid, up to 2nd position come the end of that one.
Yeah, really impressive work.
Nicola Bulica, sorry, I was going to say, with that hair.
Oh, the hair's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. So, yeah, great stuff from him. Really, I think that's the biggest step forward, isn't it, of everyone on the grid compared to yesterday. So, really, really good stuff from him. And, yeah, after qualifying 4th, I'm sure fighting for the podium is more what I'd expected from the weekend. So, good stuff from him.
Alessandro Di Mario, another 3rd place for him. He'll be disappointed to miss out on 2nd position, but I'm sure, actually, thinking about it, he'll be pretty chuffed overall with his performance this weekend.
Well, he definitely should be, for sure. 2 podiums is no mean feat. And early on, certainly, he had just about had the chops to go with Jesse James Shedden in the lead. So that was a good performance, especially in those early laps. Just wasn't quite able to get in his way and interrupt his rhythm too much.
He did for a while, though, a bit longer than previous.
Yeah, managed to tuck in for a little while there early on. So, and like we said, hopefully also going with the number 99 enabled him to see what he was doing, where he was gaining that time, and will help him to make a step forward as well going forward. Forward, forward, forward. Forward. Just repeat the word.
The only way is forward, so...
It really is.
But yes, really great racing here, and I think it's Brian J. Nelson, the official Motor America photographer down there in Parc Ferme, getting some snaps of some future stars potentially. I think I see Massimo Rivola, head of Aprilia Racing as well, down there checking out these bikes for the first time.
Oh, there on the right. I was like, where? But yeah, it's good stuff, isn't it? As we mentioned in yesterday's broadcast, it's great to see Aprilia join the Road to MotoGP. And yeah, these are the little bikes. They're a great training ground for these guys as they try and learn and hone their skills. And we've got Honda repping, KTM repping, and now Aprilia as well in a Talent Cup. So great stuff from the different manufacturers.
Yep, absolutely agree. So all part of it as well. The bikes designed by Aprilia, made by Ovale, with a little collaboration there. Ovale, the manufacturer for the Mini GP World Series as well. And of course today is the 500th GP race day in the Dorna, FIM, IRTA and MSMA collaboration since 1992. A big milestone, so there they go, standing in front of the big 50C GP sign. There we are, big photo for these guys.
Thumbs up.
They'll be chuffed with that.
Another Sergio Garcia-esque moment, this time off track.
Yeah, Sergio Garcia, famed for his thumbs up. Let's get a look at the final results then. Jesse Shedden takes the win, 9 seconds ahead of Alexander Enriquez and Alessandro Di Mario. Aiden Sneed 4th from Jayden Fernandez. Them two having a great battle to the line then. Then it was Logan Cunnison, Sahib Salem in 7th, Emiliano Arciniega and Logan Monk there filling out the top 9. They were still in a big group with Chase Black just behind them. Coming at the end of that particular group, then Hayden Meng and Adrian Sanchez had a great fight towards the end of the race as well, along with David Roth Jr. Philippe de Gama Blanchet was 14th for Matthew Chapin, and Jack Beaudry and Dylan Singh bringing up the top 17. Last of the finishers, DNF for Chris Clark and Brittany Vaccarino after their crash at turn 1. Hopefully we get some good news about Chris Clark's condition, but as he was conscious as he was heading to the medical centre. Brittany up and walking away all okay. What does that do to the championship standings then? Let's have a look. Jesse Shedden, well, perfect 50 from 50. Aiden Sneed 2nd in the series with 33 points. Di Mario 1 point behind in 3rd. Then Enriquez moves up 3 spots to 4th. Fernandez, Cunnison, Black, Arciniega and Brittany Vaccarino in 9th there, moving down 4 positions with that DNF. Then down in 10th place, I should say, we have Logan Monk, Sahib Salem in 11th spot, De Gama Blanchet 12th from Sanchez, Meng, Roth Jr. and Chapin 16th, 2 points for Matthew there. And just behind him, no points for Jack Beaudry, Chris Clark or Dylan Singh in the standings. 19 riders here in this first ever North American Talent Cup season. We are missing 1 rider due to a pre-season injury. Hopefully see them back in the next round next month. Let's get a look at the podium ceremonies then. All the riders coming out be particularly special. Special yesterday, seeing them come out on a podium. at a Grand Prix event, but even more so on actual race day itself as well, Fran.
Yep, absolutely. See those 3 American flags up there waiting. And we do wait. Are they coming? Come on, guys. You've been fast on track.
Guys, we've got Moto2 warm-up coming soon. But this is the slowest they've been all weekend, these guys.
I think it will be Massimo Rivola as well, handing out the trophies.
Oh, well, that's something special then. Potential future boss, perhaps. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? So, of course, part of the idea of this is, yes, ideally, you want to see some North American and its immediate neighbours stars in MotoGP in the future. But, hey, it's part of the programme that if they fill out grids in Moto America as well and other series around the world, World Superbikes, Moto3, Moto2, that too brings success to the North American Talent Cup.
Absolutely, yeah. They were talking about that on Thursday in the press conference we had with the 3 Moto2 Americans, that representation makes them think they can do it too, and that's always what you need when you need to start racing and taking an interest in this so young to really be the best.
Jonathan Green yelling out the names, and these guys are probably too young to appreciate Greeny as a commentary and presenting legend in motorcycle racing. But if it was me up there, I'd certainly be appreciating the fact that he's yelling my name out.
Hug him on the way through.
Yeah, big high five. He'll be doing the circuit comms here today. Third place trophy then for Alessandro Di Mario, second one for him, and then Massimo Rivola hands out the second place trophy to Alexander Enriquez, his first podium trophy in the North American Talent Cup.
They're all very smooth with it, aren't they?
Oh yeah, well, a lot smoother than you and I, that's for sure. Cool kids. As we see Jesse Shedden, second first place trophy, handed down from a potential future boss, who knows? Massimo Rivola. He'll be really pleased with that. You know, I didn't think I saw him smile very much yesterday, but he's glad to see a smile here today. He can relax now.
Yes, they can all relax now for sure. And we can as we listen to the US National Anthem.
Well then, that must be a very, very special moment indeed. 3 American riders on the podium here at the Grand Prix of the Americas. North American Talent Cup. Here are the highlights then. One last look at the North American Talent Cup for the time being before race day gets underway in the Grand Prix classes. You'll have to watch some of those as the action unfolds here in COTA. This was the only real blemish on Shedden's record coming through turn 1 here. You can see the little bubble nearly losing the front end there, but fortunately kept it upright for the remainder of the race.
He did, yes, and for a little while at least had some pretty close company from the number 7 of Alessandro Di Mario on Sunday, as he managed to just stick it in there a little bit longer as the number 99 continued to set the pace. But it was a very good battle throughout the field at times, especially between these 3 for a little while.
Until
close racing. Unfortunately then obviously we saw Brittany make this mistake and crash out. So yeah, no points for them yesterday after they've made good progress on Saturday. But then Alexander Enriquez arrived on the scene in that podium fight, and you can see the number 25 making his way past Di Mario ultimately, and they duelled it out for a good few laps.
Yeah, they really did. That was a cracking race from these guys, finishing under 10 seconds adrift from Shedden. A vast improvement on yesterday. It was Sneed and Fernandez with a cracking ride to 4th and 5th. Over the line, Shedden comes. He leads the way in the North American Talent Cup. You'll have to join us next time, where they'll be riding later on. We'll see you another time. Ciao for now.